Hey, y'all, welcome back to Faith and Sports. I don't know about you guys, but I need this kind of motivation right now. So I'm hoping you all are still enjoying this series, and you are certainly in for a treat today because I have another football legend, a former Florida Gator, 14-year NFL vet, All Pro, Super Bowl champion, and now football analyst for CBS Sports, Kevin Carter. Hey, Kevin, thanks for joining me.
Hey Taylor, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to catch up with you. Like I said in the beginning, your resume speaks for itself. The success that you found on the football field is so impressive. And we all know Kevin Carter, the football player, but give me a little insight into Kevin Carter as a man of God.
Your faith comes to, I think, the forefront of your existence at different times of your life. It's more pronounced, but
Mhm.
it's always there. Thank goodness and thank God that God doesn't regard us the way that we regard our faith. My faith has been stronger, and it's been, like I said, it's been at the forefront, and it's been on my sleeve at times. It's been right in front of me, out like a platform, like a banner, and at times it's been tucked in my back pocket. But for me, having grown up in a Baptist church in Florida, I mean, look, you go to a Black Baptist church in the South, you're in church all day on Sunday. And my dad was one of the head deacons. My mom was on the deaconess board. She was an usher. My mom passed away when she was 56. I was 29 years old at the time. And when we buried her, like, there were no less than like 15 Bibles around her house that were tattered, torn, highlighted, had all types of things stapled to them. So um, I really couldn't help, having a measure of faith going through
Yeah.
this world. It was kind of thrust upon me. But the good thing about it is when you start to live and you start to, incur challenges. And you talked about football, how football was a great vessel because it challenged me. It awakened me. Coach Nick Saban had a sign up, and it was right up on the wall just before you walked out to practice. And it said that football doesn't build character, it reveals character.
Mm.
And football really revealed a lot inside of me. True strength is balanced and is humble within God. It's humble because you realize where your strength comes from. You realize that no matter who you are, how strong you may think you are, and what your circumstances deem that you are supposed to have in this world, you are but a lump of flesh that is animated by the Spirit that comes from God Himself. And if you allow that to be personified and grow and magnified through your actions, then it can produce something that you by yourself could never be possible, that could never be, that you can never accomplish on your own. And so, there truly is no strength, there's no greater joy on this planet than having and living God's will and purpose in your life. Few people on this planet, I think, are lucky enough to say that they had their dream come true. And for me, it was a dream come true because football helped me to become the man that God wanted me to be anyway.
I think sometimes what people perceive of athletes isn't always the full story. I think we've gotten to a point where athletes exist on such a pedestal. Their lives seem like the dream, and to some degree it is, right? I mean, it's a great life to play professional sports for a living, or to even be in the sports industry in general. But no one is here without struggle. Like you said, no one is here without challenge. So talk to me a little bit about, maybe a specific situation or just something that you have had to overcome in your life where you can pinpoint the Lord's handprint in something.
I think there are different junctions in life and crossroads where God gives us opportunities, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think God gives us that opportunity every day, and I think it's a moment by moment decision that we make. I was in year six rather, in the NFL. I had just won a world championship with the St. Louis Rams. The greatest show on turf: Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk, Isaac Bruce. Orlando Pace. Those guys are already in the Hall of Fame. I mean, just a great team, great memories. After we won that world championship, you start to have contract squabbles, and there's always fallout, right? Because
Yeah.
of the business side of football. And just when I was at the top of my game and I was at the pinnacle of everything that I had wanted to be, I got into contract issues with the St. Louis Rams. And sometimes a contract squabble can paint you in a different picture as a person. I was suddenly a bad guy, and it couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah.
And then my mom passes away. You know, basically everything looked like it was perfect, but, you know, on the inside was deteriorating, just crumbling away because I, you know, wasn't, everyone thought I was a butthole. And, you know, and because of the contract squabbles that I'd had, you know, I wasn't mentioned in the top defensive ends anymore. And then I had this happen, and then my mom passes away. And you talk about times in your life where you're further or closer away to God. And I was a long way away from God at that time. I had all the boxes checked off, and I was doing all the things, and everything on the outside looked great, but my faith was really shaken. But you know, I'm thankful for that strife in my life, because, you know, through that it made me a better man. I stopped looking forward and trying to plan and control every aspect, and I started to meet the moments with, you know, Lord, instruct me, help me, keep me, you know, show me what you want me to be and do. Having that type of reliance on God from a moment to moment basis, that engagement, that's what he wants. That intimacy that's how we're designed. That's how we work the best. That's how we work at optimal level. I learned so much about myself, and I rediscovered, you know, who I was, and I learned what was important. I got through all of that with faith.
And it sounds like that perspective shift that you had might have been the Lord's purpose in all of the mess. And he always does have a purpose for our mess. And I often think that if we're getting to a point where we feel pretty good where we are, you know, you were saying I had all the boxes checked. You
Yeah.
start finding your value, and your mood is based on how good your career's going, or the relationship you're in, or maybe your financial situation. And the second you start thinking that I don't really need to pray for anything, I don't really need the Lord right now, like I love him, I believe in him, but that need's not really there, he will very quickly show you, for your own good, that nothing here deserves our full heart. Nothing here is going to fill the void that we all have. That is his place. And so I think that perspective shift is something that we're all going to experience at times. And listen, it is easier said than done. That is certainly something that I've had to work through as well, because we want to enjoy ourselves while we're here. We want to make the most of this life and have it be full, but nothing can replace our reliance on the Lord. So I think that's such a great testament to that. But I want to get your input on a concept, and it's the topic of fear, because I think where things are right now for a lot of people, not just the sports world, there's a lot of uncertainty in life right now, and a lot of people are struggling and facing times of fear. But, you know, 1 Timothy 1:7 says, "For God did not give us a spirit of fear and timidity, but of power, love, and self-discipline." He doesn't want us rooted in that fear, and strong faith will overpower fear. But while you're here and you're in the midst of it, that's a hard battle to fight. So what kind of input, advice, encouragement would you give to people that feel they're crippled by fear right now?
Sometimes it's hard for us to see past our circumstances. Sometimes it's hard for us to visualize anything that is contrary or beyond what our reality says that it is in front of us at the time. This is one of those times. My explanation for something like that is kind of close to what I told my son. My son is a sophomore now, going into a sophomore year at Dartmouth College, and he's a tight end. Since their Ivy League season was canceled this fall, he was afraid that he would not have a chance to compete for playing time. You know, I'm thankful for a lot of things in this world, but I'm thankful in the relationship that I have with my son. You know, let me just say that. The communication, the fact that he will talk to me and express those fears is really, I couldn't ask for anything more. I mean, he's so much more evolved than I am. So thankful for that. Thankful for his mom.
Yeah.
um, but he's, but he expressed that to me, and I told him, and I said, son, I said, blessings and curses. No man can discern what is a blessing and what's a curse. It's all relative. And if you live your life, son, by believing that all things are called according, to all things work together for the good of those who are called according to his purpose, or however it goes. I know I'm hacking it up, but it's like, if you choose to live your life that way, son, if you truly believe that, then this will not sideline you. It will only momentarily delay you from what you think you want. You don't know what's around the corner. That's why we have to stay Christ-centered. That's why we have to have cross eyes. That's why we have to keep our eye on the prize. That's why when it says that you start your day by saying, Lord, just lead me on the way you'd have me walk. Lord, that's why the moment by moment conversation and communion, intimacy with the Lord is what we need, because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's around the corner. You don't know what blessing or what curse is going to turn out to work for your favor down the road. We just don't know. And even right now, as crazy as things are, there's a purpose to why this is happening. Sometimes we have very, very little concept of what God has planned for us in this world. And sometimes there's lessons that we need to learn. Sometimes there are prideful things that we have propped up in our society that sometimes, you know what, things need to be reset. They need to be slowed down. We need to take our eyes off of, all of our little girls' role models being people who are on reality shows and made sex tapes. Maybe some of those little girls need to be looking up to girls like yourself and the Hannah Storms and people like that of the world, and the Ruth Bader Ginsburgs of the world. Maybe we need to change things. Maybe our top shows shouldn't be The Bachelor and Honey Boo Boo. Maybe we need to take a step back from some things, Who knows? All I'm saying is blessings and curses. We don't know what's going on. So that fear versus faith that we can choose to have on a moment by moment basis, that's what's going to get us through this. That's how it's going to help us. And that's what it's there for.
You are absolutely right. I mean, his ways are not our ways. His thoughts are not our thoughts. But as followers, we have to trust that, our good is going to come from it. His glory is going to come from it. And that's all we want while we're here. I also just want to say, you really caught me a little bit when you were talking about your son, you said, I'm so grateful for my relationship with my son, our communication. He expresses his fears to me. He expresses his desires to me. That is exactly what our Heavenly Father wants from us as children. He wants that communication with us. You know what I mean? You triggered that in me. And I think that's exactly what he wants us to do. And in this time where it feels like all of our distractions, our hobbies, our everything has been stripped away from us, we have ample time to go to the Father and increase our relationship and our communication with him. And that may be exactly what he's wanting. We all feel like, in a way, our life has been interrupted. Our progress has been interrupted. I'm sure a lot of athletes feel that way. All this work I've been putting in for a season to be ripped out from under me. And I'm actually doing a devotion right now that said we need to quit talking about it as a life interrupted and start talking about it as divine intervention, because this very well could be something that we all trace back to as a pivotal moment when we changed for the better, for his glory and honor, and for the progress of the kingdom. So I hope people have been taking notes, because I, for one, am very encouraged by this. Kevin, if you ever want to get out of sports television, you could absolutely do some preaching, motivational speaking. My guy, you got me fired up. I cannot thank you enough for taking some time to chat with me and to share that word. I, for one, took a lot from it, so I have no doubt that other people will as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. It says we're two or more gathered, then his spirit is there as well.
Yeah.
And you've really blessed my life by knowing you and calling you friend. But you blessed me today in this moment, because we need to get pulled back into what our focus is supposed to be for every day. So thank you for having me on.
The feeling's mutual, Kevin. Thank you so much. I hope we see each other soon.
Be well.